Welcome in to the Rockies Insider. I am your Rockies Insider, Patrick Lyons, and we've got to get to a series loss and a loss on Thursday against the Washington Nationals. Some history for manager Bud Black, good history, and we'll naturally go ahead and break down that Yankee series coming up this weekend, which could be interesting for not some great reasons altogether. But Rockies do lose on Thursday, 8-3, in a game that was actually a lot closer than the final score would show. Wednesday night, it was a 6-1 loss. I think that one was probably not as close as it had looked, but this game was pretty much 2-0, 3-0 for a majority of it before Brenton Doyle got off his 21st home run of the season in front of the hometown fans, his hometown fans, as Brenton Doyle is from that area, about 45 minutes just outside of Washington, D.C. Went to high school in Nokesville, Virginia. Went to college at Shepherd's University in West Virginia. That's about 2 hours away. So, again, when you've got Major League Baseball that far away and someone you know from your community or someone you played baseball with or had classes with, you're going to go out and turn out. So if you're watching that game on MLB TV, you saw out in center field, there was upwards of maybe 30 people that had come out, gotten together, took a big photograph together. So I think that was really nice for Brenton Doyle to have that. He was the DH today. This was the only game in this series where you didn't have a full strength youth movement, if you will. Now, you did have Nolan Jones, Brenton Doyle, and Jake Cave starting in all three games, which I think that's what everybody wants to see. That's part of promoting this youth movement, getting these young guys more playing time and figuring out how integral they're going to be in your future. But on Thursday, you did have Sam Hilliard starting in right field. So Doyle getting a little bit of a break with Beck playing in center field. So that's important for any of the young Rockies outfielders to be able to get a day off, to allow themselves a little bit of rest. I think I mentioned on over the weekend talking with Bud Black about the fact that Yankiel Fernandez is down in AAA. We've got some news on him. You've got Zach Veen, knocking on the door just a little bit, at least when he's healthy. Benny Montgomery in AA shut down for the season, but you've got so many outfield options right now that it seems like there's not enough room for all of these guys. Do you see Nolan Jones over at first base? Is one of them just going to be the DH one day to allow them to get some fresh legs underneath them? And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's going to be DH or just a day off. We will not be seeing Nolan Jones over at first base. Don't even know that you necessarily want to see that with Michael Tolia and his consecutive games played streak over at first base. So you still got a lot more of that youth movement, and I've got plenty more to get to in regards to that youth movement that we're continuing to see. But on the other end of the youth movement is manager Bud Black. Not a great segue. He wouldn't be happy about that. But Bud Black on Thursday, managing game number 1,160 for the Colorado Rockies. He is now number one, surpassing Clint Hurdle for first on the all-time games managed list in franchise history. Hurdle doing it over parts of 8 seasons, and Bud Black, of course, doing it for parts of 8 seasons. Clint Hurdle getting the job in 2002, was let go early on in 2009. One of the reasons why it took Bud this much time to do it was the shortened season in 2020, where there was only 60 games. So Bud getting it done, 1-1-6-0 for him. He's got 523 wins with the Rockies. That is still second behind Clint Hurdle's 534. So that's 11 to tie, 12 to go ahead. Right now, with the pace and the play that the Rockies have had, a lot more home games here over the final month plus of the season, but a much harder strength of schedule. So it's going to be close. We might end up seeing him either fall short, tie the record, or go ahead by just one win to take over that top spot over Clint Hurdle. So Bud Black been doing it a very long time, dating back to 2017 when he took the team to consecutive postseason postseason appearances. Now, amongst active managers, Bud Black is third in games managed behind Bruce Bochy and Bob Melvin, who Bochy first became a manager in 1995. I think he was even Buddy's manager for 1 year there in San Francisco. Did they overlap? I feel like I should know that. Bob Melvin first managed in 2003. So Bud Black right now, third in most games managed amongst active managers in MLB, third in games won. 1,172 games he has won in his career. Only person in baseball history with 500 wins for two different franchises, Padres and Rockies, and 100 wins as a pitcher. So good stuff there from Bud Black, leading this organization and molding a lot of really young players along his path. And as I said, taking the team to back-to-back postseason appearances. Now on Thursday, Rockies did have an opportunity to take the series from the Nationals. Would have been their third road series win of the season. They did it early on in the year against the Padres in May. They took 2 of 3 from the Los Angeles Angels in July, but unfortunately could not get it done. Quantrill was a strike away from getting out of a self-induced jam in the third inning, had that leadoff walk. They are ill-advised, and they frequently come back to haunt James Wood with the 2 RBI single. Next half inning, top of the fourth, Rockies ended up getting bases loaded with 1 out, but unfortunately Nolan Jones hits into the inning-ending double play, was a little bit frustrated there, slams his helmet on the ground. The lone run for much of the game was that solo home run for Brenton Doyle, 406 feet. Brendan Rodgers, he got himself another base hit, has hit safely in 16 of 18 games this month, entered the game batting .364 for the month, 7 doubles, 3 homers, batting average ranking 5th in the majors in August. So Brendan Rodgers doing it both at home, where he's very much elite at the plate at Coors Field, but doing it on the road as well. Rockies finally got runs number 2 and 3 thanks to a 2-run home run from Jacob Stallings. And that's had a 4-hitter at that point. They get the walk from Tolia, doing a nice job, being patient there in the 9th. Stallings with the home run. Nolan Jones doubled right after that. Tried to get a rally going, but it fell short. 8-3. Where'd all those extra runs come from? Well, unfortunately, some of them were from the bullpen. Lucas Gilbreth, Nats go 4 for 4 against him in his second outing since his return from Tommy John surgery, charged with 3 runs. Justin Lawrence comes in to try to get out of the jam and does. 1, 2, 3 there. Gets 3 in a row there in the 6th. Peter Lambert comes in, does a nice job early, but then in the bottom of the 8th, 5 consecutive hits from the Nationals in that bottom of the 8th. Walks a batter, so 6 in a row, reach base, eventually does get the double play comebacker to him to end it, and 8-3 is where it goes. Patrick Corbin on the bump. Now, Corbin was tied for most losses in the majors this year, 12, tied with another Rocky, Dakota Hudson. He's still around, I believe. He got designated for assignment for a second time. No, he is around. He's not designated for assignment. Was designated for assignment. We saw him in Albuquerque, then was promoted to the 40-man roster, made 1 start, and then quickly went on the IL. So yes, he's still around there. It's hard to keep track. So many guys coming and going, so many young guys making their debut. Again, more on that in just a moment. But Corbin entered this game with a 5.92 ERA and the lowest strikeout percentage amongst all qualified pitchers. He ends up striking out a season high 8 batters today, only the 3rd time with that many or more in his last 69 starts. So Corbin looking like an ace for the most part there, back at home, hearkening back to the days of 2019 when the Nationals won the World Series. We know that's going to happen with the Rockies when they are on the road, happens less so when they are competitive, when they have a winning record overall on the season. But you have a very young lineup out there. So those things are going to happen. You're also going to see a lot of stolen bases with the Nationals. I mentioned that in the preview earlier this week. Nats end up stealing 4 bases in this game. Only the second time that the Rockies have allowed 4 stolen bases this year. The other was at home in Coors Field to the Cincinnati Reds, who now slide to second most steals in all of baseball. Nats now have 175 most in MLB, well over 100 more than the Colorado Rockies. So they're doing it on the base paths with speed in a very big way. As I said, the youth movement, it continues to rage on. Entering Thursday, the Rockies had an average age of 27 and a half years old for their active roster, 6th youngest in the majors. It's actually 9 active rookies on the team. Jeff Criswell got that opportunity, as I mentioned in yesterday's show. If you weren't interested because you saw the headline saying, "Hey, you know what? I heard a lot of Todd Helton's speech." You didn't hear his speech before the speech. You didn't hear him talk for 25 minutes to Denver media, and you also didn't hear a little bit more of my recap of Wednesday night's 6-1 loss, highlighting the fact that Criswell made his debut. And the Rockies 3rd most in the majors as far as active rookies, 9 on the team right now. We know there's a couple more in AAA waiting to get that opportunity. We know Hunter Goodman was a rookie earlier this year, still a rookie, just not on that active roster. And then Tuesday night, if you remember, Angel Chivigi got the win on Sunday, got his first career save on Tuesday. Well, Drew Romo behind the plate, right around the same age. They're both 22 years old. Well, they became the youngest battery in Rockies history to secure a save. The previous record holders, this is going to make you smile. I hope it does. Back in 2016, that year before they went to the playoffs, maybe Carlos Estevez at age 23 and Tony Walters, who had just turned 24 years old. They had previously been the youngest battery to ever record a save, 3rd youngest battery, in fact, in all of MLB in the last 25 years to record a save. Angel Chivigi at 22, Drew Romo also at 22 years old. Some minor league news, or really some rehab news. Didn't go too well on Wednesday night for Ryan Feltner in his first rehab start at AAA Albuquerque. He's got that strained right shoulder, maybe more of a lat issue exactly, but he was able to go for 49 pitches. It only lasted him until about the 3rd inning, gave up 5 runs, 3 earned, 4 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. We know how difficult an environment that can be in the Pacific Coast League. So we'll wait and see if he's going to be back on the minimum 15 days. He will not be making the start, as some have speculated on Saturday against the Yankees. I will tell you who's going to make that start at Yankee Stadium this weekend. But I also have to mention Yanquiel Fernandez, still playing well down in AAA. The dude is an RBI machine. He has now recorded an RBI in 4 straight games for the Isotopes. So big things on the farm system, and big things this weekend, not even just in terms of Aaron Judge. Big things. You've got the road trip to the East Coast, 3 against the Washington Nationals, and now 3 against the New York Yankees. I mean, what can you say right now about Aaron Judge? What can you say about Juan Soto? Wow. Let's get into this. So this is actually just the 5th time the Rockies have ever played in the Bronx at Yankee Stadium 3, as it's called. It's the 2nd Yankee Stadium, but ultimately there were so many changes in the late 70s with the renovation of Yankee Stadium that is, resoundingly considered Yankee Stadium 2.0. So Yankee Stadium 3, the 2nd Yankee Stadium. The Ghosts are across the street at the park. You can go visit them if you want. But these only have the Ghosts from 2009 on, which is to say not a ton of Ghosts. Only 1 World Series win, only 1 World Series appearance in that new Yankee Stadium. Just the 5th time Rockies head to the Bronx. Previously, it was 2019, 2016, 2011, and then for the first time, it was in 2004. Pitching probables for the Yankees aren't known right now. We'll wait and see what happens for them. I'll tell you who I think could be making the start. But Friday, we got different start times too for all 3 days. So this is also probably going to throw you off. I know you're thinking about college football now. You're thinking about the NFL, but stick with this series because it's going to be interesting. It'll be entertaining. If you're entertained by home runs, you will be entertained by this weekend series. I didn't say who the home runs were coming from, but you will be entertained if you want to see some long balls in that humid and hot August month that does play out at Yankee Stadium. But Friday at 5:05, Kyle Freeland against Carlos Rodon, 2 lefties going head to head. Like to see that one. Saturday at 12:05 start, an early one. It's going to be Bradley Blaylock in his third career appearance with the Colorado Rockies. Hopefully he can build on his previous 2 starts where he was looking good for a while. Then it fell off a little bit in the 5th, 6th inning. We'll see what he can do against the Yankees. Marcus Stroman could go on Saturday at 12:05. And then on Sunday, the final getaway day before the Rockies come back to Coors Field to take on the Marlins. You've got Austin Gomber against possibly Luis Gil, Gil, Gil. Don't forget, Luis Gil once traded for Jake Cave. That's right. They do have that connection. So very interesting. In fact, you can go back and check out an article I wrote about Jake Cave earlier on in the summer over at Just Baseball, where Cave said, hey, you know what? That's kind of neat to think that I was traded for a guy that could be the American League Rookie of the Year award winner. So that's always a compliment. Anytime you're traded for someone who does something notable, it's got to make you feel good. And it certainly does make Jake Cave feel good. What's not going to feel good is pitching against Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. Judge, 2 home runs on Wednesday night, 1 more in the day game on Thursday. He's got 48 for the season and is now on pace for 60 home runs once again. You'll remember he hit 62 back in 2022 to break and set a new American League home run record. So Aaron Judge, man, what more can you say except this guy is red hot. He hits left-handed pitching. He hits right-handed pitching, but as a right-handed hitter, yeah, he does hit left-handed pitchers with a lot more authority. Has a lower batting average against lefties than righties, but reaches base at a 503 clip. Folks, he reaches base half of the time he faces left-handed pitching and a 740 slugging percentage. So he absolutely rakes against lefties. And unfortunately for the Rockies, they've got both Freeland and Gomber going in this series. So that's going to certainly be a challenge. And Juan Soto is no slouch himself. He hits lefties incredibly well. For a left-handed hitter, you know, a lot of lefties are able to do that in today's game. You know, we've seen Charlie Blackmon do a lot of damage against lefties over the years. We know Ryan McMahon can do that. Nolan Jones is starting to build a resume against fellow lefties. So you can't sleep on Juan Soto as well. And so it did get me thinking about players who have had big games, homer-wise, against the Rockies, because not picking on Colorado for this, but this is more about Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, what they are capable of doing in a big way. As I said, you got a lot of rookies on this roster, a lot of rookies in that bullpen, a lot of long relievers that are still figuring out some things. And once you can get past the Kyle Freeland, Bradley Blaylock, and Austin Gomber, with Victor Vodnik now on that injured list, it becomes very challenging to get outs late in games. And I think the Yankees definitely could take advantage of this. So I thought, how many home runs or how many players have hit 3 home runs or more against the Rockies away from Coors Field? So all time, the number might be a little bit smaller than you would think. Maybe not. Think in your head, how many players or how many times has somebody hit 3 or more home runs against the Rockies? The total is 18. So 13 times, a majority, have been at Coors Field, which means only 5 times a player has hit 3 home runs against the Rockies. No one's ever hit 4, either at Coors or away from Coors or away from Mile High Stadium. Only 5 have hit 3 or more away from Denver. Most recently, you had Alex Dickerson do it at Coors. Most recently with people in the stands, Hunter Renfroe in 2019. But as far as on the road is concerned, you got to go back 6 years to Christian Villanueva. Again, the hardcores remember Christian Villanueva in that game early on in the 2018 season in San Diego. Villanueva, 24 career home runs. 3 of them came in one game in April. And in fact, 6 home runs in his career came against the Rockies. So 25% of his career total came against Colorado. 12 and a half came in one game, April 3rd, 2018. So not bad for Villanueva. 6 home runs against the Rockies in only 9 starts. Who else has 3 home runs away from Denver against the Rockies? You also have Shea Hillenbrand, 2003. In 2001, both Phil Nevin, father of Rockies draft pick Tyler Nevin, and Sammy Sosa did it. First man ever, 1995's Reggie Sanders. So I don't know what to say. We'll kind of wait and see what ends up happening in this series, but it's very much going to be about Aaron Judge and Juan Soto and Judge doing damage against left-handed pitchers. He's got 13 so far entering Thursday. Judge has 12 himself. So, Judge has 13. Soto has 12. An OPS of 1050 for Soto against lefties. The dude's playing for that free agent contract. So he's got the short right field porch. I don't know if you saw the home run he ended up hitting the other day where it looked like a check swing. The ball ended up going out. I had to watch it multiple times to make sure it wasn't one of those clips where, somebody lays down a bunt or someone gets plunked off the helmet and they cut in a ball flying out to left field. Like, wow, that ball really ricocheted pretty hard off the helmet. No, it was a legit check swing home run to left field for Juan Soto. So the ball is flying out of Yankee Stadium right now in a major way. The ball's flying off bats against certain Rockies pitchers. Austin Gomber exited his last start with the most home runs allowed by a National League pitcher, 25. So that's going to be another one to watch, that matinee game on Sunday. One of the last before the NFL slate of games ends up getting started. So you've got that going on. You've got, of course, Rockies going head-to-head with DJ LeMahieu, which we know to be somewhat of a rarity. He's been pretty quiet for the Yankees, certainly after they gave him that nice 6-year extension, did have an MVP caliber season. He might not get a ton of playing time as he's been on the shorthand of a platoon, but he's a right-handed hitter, so you might see him 2 out of 3 times against Freeland and Gomber. Batting cleanup for the Yankees is Austin Wells. You might not know that name very well, but he was selected in the 2020 MLB draft. He was a guy that I really thought the Rockies might have been looking to go after later on in that draft. They got aggressive and they went with Drew Romo out of high school there. So we'll see a pair of catchers from the 2020 draft class, Anthony Volpe and Ezekiel Tovar, going head-to-head, 2 young shortstops with double pop, working on developing that home run pop and playing a sterling defense at shortstop. So that I think is also going to be a fun matchup. Trent Grisham is still hanging around, coming off the Yankees bench. We know that he's been a thorn in the Rockies side in the past, at least during his time with the San Diego Padres. So, some interesting matchups. Tommy Kahnle, a guy that was with the Rockies for a while, he's still kicking around. Jake Cousins, interesting story there. But Jake Cousins is a cousin of Kirk Cousins. So that I wish they weren't cousins because it just makes it sound hokey. But no, they are related. They are cousins, Jake Cousins and Kirk Cousins. I'm sure you're going to see that a lot this weekend discussed when he enters the game. Mark Leiter Jr., son of Mark Leiter, nephew of Al Leiter. So a lot of interesting stories here going on for Rockies, Yankees, but a lot of it's going to be on the shoulders of Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. We'll see if the Rockies can steal at least one win for the Yankees, who are battling right now in a major way atop the American League East. You've got the Baltimore Orioles going toe to toe with them, trying to win that out, because you're going to get a bye if you can win the AL East. More than likely, you're going to get a bye because the AL West is trailing just a little bit. Astros, okay, they've got themselves a cushy 5-game lead over the Mariners, but at 68 and 58, only 10 games above 500, where you've got the Yankees at 22 games above 500, Orioles 20 games above 500, and they're coming to Coors Field next weekend. Jackson Holiday making his triumphant return to Coors Field. No, he's never played at Coors Field before. Not officially in a game. He's played in the clubhouse. He's played on the grass plenty of times at 20th and Blake, but as a child, as the son of Matt Holliday. Now he comes as a man unto himself. So Yankees playing for a lot right now, and they haven't been great at home, 34 and 28. So you would think they would have a lot more of a home field advantage at Yankee Stadium. We know that the Rockies have played fairly well against teams above 500, a lot better than they probably should, but they're facing the Yankees, and they're in a pennant race right now during these dog days, so they will not be letting up. They're going to look to try to take 3, and I'm going to be looking to come back on Friday night. We'll see if I can make it back for that post game. Shouldn't be too late. We'll see if I can do a couple of those perhaps on this Yankee series. You're getting one on Sunday. You always get that one guaranteed for the Rockies Insider. And if you haven't seen, we're in the top 250. In the top 250 of the Apple Podcast chart. So thank you so much, seriously, from the bottom of my heart, on behalf of Just Baseball Media. Thank you for everyone who's been supporting the Rockies Insider, getting your Rockies news and updates from me, whether it's been on Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, whatever that might be. On the YouTube channel, there's a lot of really good video content. There's a million different places that you can post. And I want to post everywhere, a lot of the same content, some new stuff. Only so much time in the day, but I appreciate you guys waiting with that bated breath and encouraging me, saying, hey, man, I want to see more of the what's up with the Rockies. I want more of those updates. You're going to get them here on the Rockies Insider podcast, on the live show as well. So make sure that you are subscribing anywhere you can get some of that social media content at Patrick D. Lyons, at Patrick D. Lyons MLB, and at Rockies_Insider. Appreciate you sticking around, giving me a little of that momentum, getting me into the top 250 of all baseball podcasts in the U.S. on the Apple Podcast charts. Grateful, humbled. Thank you so much for that momentum. But, as I like to say, that momentum is only as good as my next show. So, of course, I will talk to you then.